I finally also caved in and played a little bit of Starfield the last few days. And to trigger the Bethesda fanbase even harder than I did in the Necromancer video a few weeks ago. By the way, thank you so much for giving the video so much attention and for me actually reaching 1,000 subscribers. I could not be more grateful. I am so happy right now. But because I am going on vacation next week and I still want to get something out before that, I just thought about doing a slightly different thing than normally, just a casual, unscripted first impressions on Starfield to maybe just catch a bit of the hype of that game. So I'm not really the biggest Bethesda games fan. I like stuff like Doom or Wolfenstein. I'm a very big fan of those series, for example, or like Ghostwire Tokyo. Basically, most of the games that aren't directly developed by Bethesda studios themselves. The last actual Bethesda games I really enjoyed was Fallout 3. So it has been a long while ago. Fallout 4 wasn't really for me. I don't think I have to even talk about Fallout 76. Skyrim also didn't really catch me. I can see why it is so popular, but it just never really just hooked me in for longer than maybe like 10 hours. But after like 7 hours in Starfield, I can definitely see a lot of the criticisms, but also a lot of the praise. Let's just start with the combat. I actually think it is gameplay and combat-wise one of the best Bethesda games ever. I genuinely enjoy the fights, even on console, even while being locked at 30 FPS, which is a downside that is unacceptable in my opinion on the allegedly strongest console ever made. But it is still very much playable and feels a lot better than I actually would have expected. The combat itself also feels a lot nicer than in something like Fallout 4. It feels way less stiff and more fluently. I really enjoy just running around, knifing a few enemies, switching to my laser gun, shooting them down across the entire station. But not everything is really that well. I can definitely see both sides of the argument currently, with like people saying it is one of the greatest, but also like people saying it is very, very underwhelming. Because while the fighting is a lot of fun and the exploration and scope seem very big, there are a lot of very weird problems. Like, for example, a lot of loading times, a lot of just walking around. The fact that you don't have any vehicles in this game is kinda a shocker. For example, if you want to explore a planet, the points of interest are way more spread out than they are in other Bethesda games, so it's a lot of just walking in a straight line with nothing in between. I mostly just explored like uninhabitable planets so far, so stuff like the moon or the Mars, so basically planets that are completely dead. It was cool to like see these points of interest and go to them and explore them. The problem was just getting to them took forever and was so boring. I literally just flicked the stick in one direction, looked on my screen and started talking to the chat because nothing happened on it. There were no enemies, no creatures, nothing happening on the way to the actual point of interest. While exploration in itself is fun and most of the time very rewarding, when I found a cave, it was very underwhelming most of the time. Just a very small little room with nothing really in it, maybe one enemy, maybe a single thing to loot, but completely worthless most of the time. Which was really sad, because one of the biggest things I liked about, for example, Fallout 3 and Skyrim were the caves and just exploring. The other thing is, the comparisons with No Man's Sky are really they're more apparent than I actually would have expected, with you literally just using a laser gun to mine minerals, every planet having like their different kinds of minerals, really randomly generated looking monster designs. It was more apparent than I actually would have expected, which kind of surprised me. Then again, I have seen a lot about the game beforehand, which was actually why I got so excited, because they marketed it pretty well, even though they have hidden a lot of things. For example, you not being able to actually just walk around the entire planet. It is split up into chunks, and if you want to go to another chunk, once you reach the border, there's just an invisible wall. The game tells you here's the border. If you want to explore further, you have to go back to the ship. Then you just teleport to the ship, fly into the space, choose another chunk, land there and continue. I don't know why you can't just explore the entire planet seamlessly, or why they aren't doing at least something like, hey, you reached the border, do you want to load the next chunk, but the last one will be unloaded or something. I don't know. Anything would have been better than just making you constantly, because you cannot fly with your ship across the planet. You have to go to your ship, ascend into the atmosphere, select the planet on your map again, choose another location and land again. I mean, I heard a lot about the UI in beforehand that it isn't that good. I mean, one of the first mods that was actually popular and available for the game was an UI redesign, but I didn't expect it to be this atrocious. Your inventory is completely okay. Like, your inventory is manageable, I think. Your skill tree is completely fine, but the problem is the map screen is so confusing. You have to do way too many steps to get anywhere on here. It's so many button combinations, so many buttons you have to press. It takes forever to just get used to how the map works. Granted, once you understood the map, it is actually really easy to work around the map, because once you just understood what everything does and how everything looks, it is pretty understandable. The problem is the game is very bad at explaining itself in a lot of different areas, not only the map. For example, I don't even understand by now how the entire shipbuilding process works, because it is so horribly explained. But just going back to the map, it is super confusing to just move around it. And for example, let's say you want to go to another planet in another system. You have to go on the map, zoom out from the planet, zoom out again so that you aren't in the star system anymore, but in the entire universal map. Choose the galaxy you want to go to. Look if you even can jump to the other galaxy, because you can only jump a certain distance with your ship. Jump to that universe, to that solar system. Choose a planet, jump to that planet, and then go back into that menu after you have jumped to the planet and choose on the planet where you want to land. It is kind of confusing, unnecessary. I don't really get why I can't just pick a planet, pick a landing location and instantly fly there, why I have to do so many different steps in between. Maybe I just missed something, I don't really know. This is how I mostly just transferred through the map, which was very annoying. Then again, I don't really think it is that big of a problem, because I think just it's basically how other games are doing it, but more menu-based instead of doing it more immersive. As someone who isn't really that able to actually immerse themselves into games anyways, I didn't really mind it that much. But I definitely understand why a lot of people are minding it. It is a lot less elegant than other games are doing it. While I was also talking about the skill tree isn't really anything special. I think it reminded me the most about something like The Witcher 3, with you having the different rows and the different categories, and if you have spent enough in an earlier row, you can go into the next row, and so on and so forth. A system I really do like is, instead of you just being able to instantly put multiple skill points into one skill to level up multiple times, you have to do certain challenges to unlock the ability to enhance your skill. I really do like that. For example, I made my character somewhat melee focused. One of my first skills I had was a melee skill that allowed me to move a bit faster when I kill enemies with a melee attack. And if I kill enough enemies with melee attacks, I unlock the next tier. For example, for the next tier, I actually need to kill 50 enemies in total with a melee attack. And if I do that enough, I get the ability on rank 4 to heal myself for 10% of my health. Which is a good thing, because health packs are very rare. I have run out multiple times by now, and it can be very stressful in certain situations, because enemies can hit hard, and even in the early game, you are facing enemies that are up to like 10 levels above you, which was kind of shocking. Then again, it was pretty cool to just find a random ship full of enemies that are like 10 levels above me. I killed all of them with a detriment of not having any health left, but I was able to like capture the ship, and now it's mine. I don't know what I have to do with all the corpses lying around on the ship. I don't know if I'm able to like move them around or something, but I have a new ship now. The thing I actually enjoyed the most about the game currently, next to actually the combat, one of the things I enjoyed the most about the game currently is definitely the world itself, like the story and the characters. I have not experienced that much so far, but what I've experienced I really enjoyed, and it felt really nice to just like talk with the characters, just have funny conversations sometimes. I met my parents. That was an interesting situation, let's say it like that. Did a few different things, going around, talking to different people. Visited the moon, talked to someone that wanted me to receive a few things from some cave, or helped a few people out that got attacked by some space pirates. That was pretty cool. But I really have to emphasize again how baffling it is that you are not able to use any fast traveling methods besides you just running and jumping and using a jetpack. Here I can also say, why the fuck do I have to use a skill point to unlock my jetpack? I have one on my back. It is a gear slot. Why do I have to use skill points to unlock a basic ability like that? That's kinda redundant in my opinion. Then again, I have heard from a buddy, I don't know how true that is, but apparently you are able to get every skill in the game to max, which is kinda crazy, but I don't really think that is kinda realistic to actually do everything, because I can't imagine that will probably take a few hundred hours, if not a few thousand, because oh my god, there are a few things you can do in this game. I think most people that talked about the game have already said this, but the humans look kinda terrifying. I actually am one of the few people that actually thinks their humans look kinda fine, but their animations are, in my eyes, their animations are the biggest problem with the humans. They are very snappy, if you know what I mean. They have done their one animation, they're now just instantly like snapping to the next one, which looks really bad in most situations. Very, very, let's say, old school. It doesn't really look polished, and I think it's the biggest like downside to how the game looks, because in general I think the game looks actually really fine. The interiors especially look so good. The interiors look very detailed, super full of stuff, so many different items you can pick up and rotate in your inventory and look at. It's crazy. It's just completely mind-boggling what they did here. The outside interiors aren't that pretty. Like the outside isn't that pretty. It is, you can definitely tell it feels a lot more, let's say, randomly generated. The structures look really good. The maps itself, I hope it gets kind of better with more lively planets later. But for now, it's manageable. Like I said, interiors look really, really good. Outside is still looking okay-ish, I would say. Unless you reach a higher point of view where you're able to like look across like the horizon, where it gets very low. I think it really reminds me of something like Spore. It looks very much like a very, very old terrain system with bright colors, which is, I guess, okay, but then again, you see how other games try to hide stuff like this, and this game basically does nothing to even try to pretend that this doesn't look like this. But yeah, I would say I wasn't really going into this with high expectations, because like I said, I am not really the biggest Bethesda fan, and the last few games were really big disappointments for me that weren't really able to hook me. This game is slowly starting to hook me. It didn't really in the first few hours. It was fun, I wanted to continue, but it wasn't really something where I was like, oh, I need to play this. I would say this is the case now. I definitely want to continue, which is a pretty big compliment, because I actually at first only wanted to play this game once I have finally finished Baldur's Gate 3. I think I might actually play the games both very on and off. Like 1 week I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, 1 week I'm gonna play Starfield. Because I really do enjoy them both on a very similar level for very different things. I think that's the biggest compliment I can give the game. I can definitely see the current score, why there are people that are praising the games to high heavens and also giving the game like a 7 or something. But yeah, I hope you like this very spontaneous, very short form, very low effort video for a change, because I know normally my videos are very high quality. I just wanted to get something out real quick before I again don't upload anything for over a month. I am live streaming most of my playthrough. I am live streaming pretty regularly right now. Obviously next week when I'm on vacation I won't be able to live stream, but if you want to see me continue the playthrough of Starfield, you can definitely like check in. And for everyone who subscribed to me because of the Necromancer video, there is gonna be a new one in a few weeks. Once I come back from a vacation, I will definitely instantly work on that. Don't worry about it. There's gonna be more of it. Holy shit, the resonance was so crazy, I still can't get over it. But yeah, I hope you liked this. Have a good night.